What's on your mind, Doug?
My mind?
Yeah, say something silly and stupid.
Here it goes.
Okay.
Cue the music.
I knew it. I knew it. Oh, God.
I am Doug Friedman.
Wait, really? I am Kenzie Genest.
And this is Your Mental Breakdown.
The podcast? Question mark? What do you mean? We didn't have any intro. Okay, fine. That's it. That's all we've got today.
Well, no, so that's the cold open. We have to do an actual intro now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right? Remember your order of operations?
PEMDAS. Do you remember PEMDAS?
No.
Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction.
Oh, wow. I was way off.
Do you remember that?
No, I never learned that.
Really?
Yeah, we just there was no mnemonic. We just learned what it was.
Well, there you go. That's the only reason I passed algebra. PEMDAS.
The only reason I passed algebra was my G-Shock.
Hold on. Your what?
My Casio G-Shock watch.
Oh my God.
That had a calculator on it.
Okay, so, hi. Hey. Okay, what's your favorite holiday?
Mine?
Yeah.
April Fool's.
No, it's not.
Yeah, sort of.
It is.
It used to be.
That makes sense, actually. That tracks.
Actually, I like the whole holiday season around Christmas,
Passover.
New Year's. No.
I just love Passover season. I thought that's what you were going to say.
No.
Thought you were going to hit me with a joke.
No, I like the end of the year holidays, but it's not Christmas, it's not Hanukkah, it's not New Year's, it's all of those combined.
Okay.
Yeah, once we turn the corner after Thanksgiving and the Christmas lights go up, I love that. People start getting somewhat nicer. Other places more aggro.
I was going to say, it depends if you like the holidays. If you're a bah humbug or, we're therapists here, we can say it. If you've got trauma or you don't like your family, like the holidays can be stressful.
I'm more of a Baja Fresh guy.
Oh my God. That's awful. I was just making fun of your dad noises and now dad jokes.
I can't help it. I'm not even a dad.
You're not really a dad, but you kind of are a dad. You have a dog who really can't leave your side.
Yeah.
Which that's false because he's not in this room right now. I really wish he was. I can't believe he doesn't sit next to me. It actually hurts my feelings because he loves me so much. And then we record the pod and he's like, okay, F you guys.
Well, he's giving us our space.
Ugh.
In any good relationship.
He's such a therapist.
You can have a healthy amount of codependence, but then you have some independence.
The connection is in the disconnection. Right, Doug?
No.
My therapist says that.
Wow.
He's such an attachment guy.
Okay.
I had a dream last night, a very, very visceral dream that my therapist, are you ready to psychoanalyze the shit out of me right now? My therapist diagnosed me with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder.
Wow.
And I woke up in like a cold sweat. It was truly a nightmare. And look, I'm not trying to stigmatize NPD or anything, but I just... That's like one of those dreams. I woke up viscerally upset. I was about to like text him.
Yeah. All right. You ready for this? My hot take on it? Well, it's more of a lukewarm take.
Oh, God. Okay. Like my tea.
So I think that for you, you have learned to be a people pleaser.
Oh, you're actually psychoanalyzing me right now.
Just off the cuff,
you're
off the
therapizing
dome,
me.
as you would say.
I'm so uncomfortable all of a sudden.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Cool. Let's keep going.
Right. But
I just started
in the dream,
sweating.
What your unconscious is playing out is what it would be like to, as we said last week, be more of a brat. And where were you last night? You were at a Halloween brat party.
I was celebrating Halloween.
Right? So the brat stuff, the being selfish and it being about you was probably, if not front of mind, front of unconscious mind. So it played out in your dream. And as you're trying to calibrate this, the voice of your therapist, which is really a projection of ourselves, not furthering the narcissism, but just saying it's a projection of you, is going, wait, don't go too far. Don't make it all about you, really. But it's just you calibrating it.
So there is a part of me, if you will, that could very well be a narcissist that is saying, hey, don't go all the way.
However, what I'm saying, though, is that the part of you that came out of the dream is the other part of you that's like, no, don't make it about yourself. That scares me. I don't want to do that.
It is scary.
Right?
It is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
We were analyzing your dreams. It was making you uncomfortable. You already don't feel human because your stomach is bothering you.
I have tummy problems today.
Bratting away last night.
Yeah. I was bratting it up last night.
Right.
But like not too hard. Not too hard. I don't deserve this tummy ache, let me just say. No. I don't think I deserve it.
No.
But that's life, What is it? What's the meme? God gives his weakest stomachs to his strongest girlies. And I think it's so funny because
Wow.
it's so true.
Well, if you can stomach it, we're going to talk
Nice
about.
segue. So good. Just shut me up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Look at the plant. Look at the
I'm
plant.
looking at the plant. It's my thing.
'Kay.
If you would like to stomach us,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
you
Where
can
is
find
this
us
going?
on social media at your.mental.breakdown. You can email us at info@yourmentalbreakdown.com. And you can and should rate us and review us and subscribe to us and call Kenzie on her home phone number.
Why every time?
I don't know,
What's
because
up
it
with
makes
that?
you uncomfortable.
Yes.
I like the discomfort.
You really do.
I mean,
Get off
with you,
to it.
yes. With you, I like the discomfort. With clients, no.
Why?
No.
What makes me different? Why? I'm getting so reactive. Oh my God. Speaking of defensive-ness, this session,
Oh, yeah.
there's such a hot little moment of
Wait,
defensiveness.
can I
What?
challenge you for a minute?
No.
Okay.
Okay, because this is what you did to Drew.
All right. Well, let's get
Should
out
we
of the
go
way.
there?
Let's go there.
Yeah. Okay. See ya.
Bye.
How's it going? I'm going to see if you can start this off without talking too much about
Son.
but I'm assuming that's going to be a big part of it. But I want to make sure we leave room for you too.
Yeah, so I'm feeling really good and really clear as far as getting my head kind of back on my shoulders. And that was a big weight kind of sitting on me. Now that that's lifted and I have everything else kind of happening simultaneously, it was really nice to clear that off my plate and really get back into what I wanted to do. And so work-wise, emotional-wise, everything that I'm doing right now is really tip-top, and I feel really good about where I'm at right now. And my first thought was, okay, now what do I need? What do I need to go buy? What else do we need? Which is and I think that's a typical thought process for me. As soon as I get those dishes cleaned, I want to go make some food and dirty up some more dishes. And so now I'm kind of like internally battling as far as like, okay, we are in a good spot and we have a little bit of a nest egg and we're doing pretty good. Now the pressure's on me is like, don't blow it, don't buy shit, don't do anything, just keep stacking. I feel like my pendulum is one of two ways. It's either save everything and don't spend $1 and like we're broke, like even pennies matter. And then the other side of that is, no, we're fine, like spend all the money, have some fun. There's not that like drive in me to save and still buy. Like it's not, they don't coincide yet.
They don't coincide yet. What does that mean?
I think I'm still living kind of out of my means and I haven't found what my means are. And so I feel like I'm lukewarm in finances right now as far as there's no excitement, but there's no pressure.
Right. Yeah. You ever go swimming in a pool and you go through one patch or in the ocean and it's like, ooh, there's the cold patch. And then you go into a warm patch, right? And it's like, I mean, it's all water in this place. How is it not even, right? That's, to me, that's not lukewarm. That's hot and cold. And that's what we talked about seesawing. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you saying. It's like, I've got these two gears, I've got first gear and fifth gear. Where's my second through fourth? And how do I find that? And I think you've got a good awareness of, you got a little bit of both and you're trying to be responsible, but you also want to have some excitement. It's being a little more financially aware than you've been before. Not financially responsible, but financially aware. Being aware is kind of seeing the forest for the trees, looking at like, what is our situation now? What are the kids going to need eventually? Are you going to work also? Am I going to earn more money? What are our expenses? What's our debt? And it's looking at that big picture that you don't really like to look at. How's that all sound as I say that back to you that way?
I almost think back to like high school, middle school, that kind of thing where I was probably 10 years old and me and my dad sat out front of my house and we were sitting on our little bench and we were talking I was a kid, so we were just talking life and times and this, that, the other. And I distinctively remember we were kind of going through who Drew was. And I think the topic of conversation was, I can't get through life on good looks. And there has to be more than that to me. There has to be more substance to me. And at one point in the conversation, I looked at my dad and I was like, Dad, I'm never going to worry about money. it always comes back. I can always work for it. And I think I've taken that that way of thinking into my whole life, and I've never really thought about the spending. It's always the making.
Yeah.
And that's also why I work so hard, because I see work as making money as well.
It's not just the income, but it's looking at stability, and being able to provide. You have 1.5 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because it's
Kid
is her kid, and there's a baby daddy, so there's 3 of you providing. It's not all on you,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
son.
There's the 2 of you. I think the idea of you're not in it alone is big too, because some of these conversations
Mm-hmm.
are conversations to have with
Girlfriend.
and
Yeah.
it's all right. What does this mean? What does this look like? How are we feeling? What can we do? What do we want to do? And there's something about adjusting your means to what your income is. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
adjusting your income to what you want your means to be.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the cool things that I pulled out of that was the conversation that I have with girlfriend. I'm more embarrassed that I don't know how to do it at this point in my life than I am comfortable with where I am. I feel like I'm almost free falling of just making as much money as I can. And then that kind of solidified my deal with my parents, because going into all of it, like they were my last resort, and I really didn't want to take money from them, because I said it right when I opened. I felt like they were going to buy me. They were going to buy my time. They're like, oh, well, we gave you this money, so now you have to do this. And so I feel very comfortable in walking through all of that with girlfriend and making a family decision in where we are. And I
Yeah.
felt like that conversation for me and her really grew our relationship, as far as me being comfortable in being embarrassed and not knowing how to do this, but yet being the sole provider for our family.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that discomfort and embarrassment of not knowing how to do something and talking about it and bringing that
Mm-hmm.
awareness and kind of confession or admission, like bringing it out.
We both sat and looked at each other, and I'm like, you know how broke I am, and you still love me. Like, you're still here. You've been with me the whole time. And this time we're walking through it together as partners and seeing what that is. I really wanted to be on the same page, and I wanted her to hear me from where I was coming from, and what I've been through and what I've seen and done and this, that, the other. And I quickly realized that I wanted to meet her in the middle of where she's been too, because I'm learning a lot from her, as far as being a partner in this, and being together and making those decisions together. The embarrassment really, it brought out a lot in me. And once I confessed and kind of let it out, it was, she didn't hear me for what, and this is why I'm having a hard time letting this one out, because I'm trying to verbalize kind of those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I let it out. I was embarrassed. She didn't hear me for how I wanted her to hear me. But in virtue of that, it almost came out better because I met her in the middle. It wasn't all on me. It wasn't all on my end. I got the reassurance I needed in that conversation, as far as we're in this together. We got this. Like, yes, you are going to go work, but I got the baby. Don't worry. Like, we're good. So it was a lot more of a calming nature conversation than I expected, versus I just want you to understand.
Yeah. Something I say sometimes is the mark of a man is not knowing all the answers. It's having the courage to ask the questions and the wisdom to listen to the answers. Sometimes when you sit down to have a talk, you want to have that, you want to project that I've got it. Like, it's okay. It's under control. In a sense, don't judge me. Don't ridicule me. Don't leave me. You bring it up and you go, hey, come join me. Let's figure this out together. I don't know this and I want to. But if I pretend I know the answers, if I try to project this, like, no, I've got it, I'm cool, that's not sustainable either. And you go, well, I don't know. I mean, my parents have money, but I feel weird asking them. Let's talk about that. I'm already working, but maybe I can earn more money somehow, some way else. Let's talk about that. In my experience, that's what builds intimacy with someone and partnership with someone. And it sounds more and more like what you have with your baby mama is a partnership. I used to call her your girlfriend, not girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
And even when she was pregnant, it was like, okay, is he going to be with her because he's obligated to, or is he choosing to? Is it reciprocal? Is there a partnership? I hear that some of these tough discussions that you're having is you having the courage to go through the potential embarrassment, and as an opportunity to really have that intimacy in a partnership.
Yeah. And you said intimacy a couple of times, and I think that's really the biggest emotional shift I've seen over the last couple of weeks between me and her is how close our emotions are right now. I said babies create a new honeymoon stage. And I kind of looked at her right when we first got together, and I was like, yo, this is honeymoon stage. This isn't real life. Like, we haven't been through anything. Yeah. And so I kind of looked at her, and I was playing almost devil's advocate, and she was like, I love you so much. Like, this has been such a crazy 10 days. This was a week or two ago.
Right.
And she was just like, I love you so much. And I was like, I love you too. And I'm really enjoying what this time is. And I'm afraid for it to pass because I feel like we're in another honeymoon stage, and it's gonna pass. I love where we are right now, and I love the relationship I have with her, but I also loved it before we had this baby. It's not that I didn't notice, but I maybe I wasn't aware as far as my preparation for the baby coming. I was so focused on getting so much done that I lost track of me and her together in what this all is. And walking through that with her has been such a blessing, and it's been so good for us. That I don't want to keep the same mindset that I've always had. When it's good, it's going to go bad. When it's bad, it's going to go good. I really want to revel in what this good is and walk through the hard parts with her.
I'm going to take the role of challenging you for a second. I know you love when I do this, so
yeah,
I'm going to throw it at you just because I'm picking at something. I'll tell you. We'll go behind the curtain after this, but let's roll with this for a second, okay? You talk about before she even got pregnant, and she was becoming a good partner. We were coming off of she'd done me dirty a couple times. Gradually, what might have happened was, as I was separating from my mom,
girlfriend
was kind of providing me with that stability and that kind of maternal vibe. And she took the place of my mom, and that was great. But I could use
girlfriend
as sort of that maternal figure. And she got to, in a sense, mommy me. And then when she got pregnant, she's been through this before. I haven't. So she's mommying me again. She's the wise one that knows this, that knows what's going on. I'm still the kid, but she's got it. I don't have to take care of everything. And I'll just kind of follow her lead. And that's cool. So now I don't need my mom as much. And I got one, and she's mother to my 1.5 kids, and kind of taking care of me too. And cool. All right. Life's good. I just got to keep making money, and then I can have my mommy partner.
I think that's like 25 to 40% truth. And I think for me, that 60% is my new discovery within myself. Yes, I did kind of put her as like a comfort figure in my life, and a stable comfort figure. Meanwhile, she knows about my mom and my issues with her and the back and forth and all of that is. And I've done a lot more internally and in here and with my mom and with my dad than I have sitting down with her and just crying about this conversation. I do think I look to her as a mother figure, but I also think that's why I was so attracted to her in the first place, because she had kids and she was taking care of them. And so yes and no, because I also feel I'm dad. I take a dad role in this.
Wow, Drew, you're really vocal about being the man of the house. Almost a little too much. Like that almost sounds like you're really trying to like show your authority and be that guy. And okay, I mean, do you really need to put your foot down and say I'm the man of the house? Apparently you do. What's up with that?
Yeah. it's my own self-confidence as far as where I've been, where I'm going, and who I am, to say with authority, I am the man of the house because I am embodying that and I feel that. It's not a cry for help in the sense of I'm the man of the house, what do I do now? And it is me standing on a solid foundation as far as my own emotions and my own shit that I've been through. Saying that I'm a man of the house in virtue is saying that I have a great partner next to me that helps me make the decisions. This is not a solo show. And I know that we're in the same gear right now to make these life decisions and these fucking crazy things that we're going through over this last month. If I was the man in the house, we probably wouldn't have made it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm going to paraphrase some of what you've said and say it back to you, because this is how you were answering me, challenging you, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, in the beginning, I saw
Girlfriend
as a maternal figure, and that was attractive because I could see her not parenting me, but being a parent and being self-sufficient. So I know if someone's going to have my back, it's going to be her. And I was kind of childlike. There was a lot I didn't really know, and I was still a kid, and I didn't know health insurance. I got COVID, and what did that look like? And I don't know how to do some of these things, and I've never really done them on my own. And I don't want my mom to do it. I want a partner. Maybe it's that seesaw again, that lukewarm by virtue of being hot and cold. Where wait, I want to also show that I can take care of stuff, and I could be the dad. I could be the man of the house. And there's some way in which you're describing it, which is she's the mom and she takes care of the house. No, you're the man, you take care of the house, and you go back and forth. And there could, if that dynamic plays out, be power struggle there. No, we actually do talk about things together and come up with things together. And it's like we're the mom and dad of the house. But I'm also letting her know, like, hey, I'm not somebody that you can control and lord over. I'm in this too. How's that sound with me saying that back to you?
The other thought I had in my head as you're saying all of this, and I think it plays really well here, is when we were moving in, my role is to get all the heavy shit, put it in, get it where it needs. Her role was to kind of like feng shui it and tell me where to put it. And the whole time it's been, baby, I got it. Like, that's my job. That's my role. I got this. Don't worry about it. In the roundabout sort of way of what the American man of the house is, I don't think that's what I'm talking about. I think what I'm talking about is being so solid in the foundation of our relationship and our family, in me and myself and her and herself. I still need a lot of help as far as being the man of the house, and she plays that role too. So I think you're exactly right as far as mom and dad, and it's really fucking cool to me to have a mom and dad type rolled house where I play mom too. I'm more emotionally charged than she is. And so it's like the super emotional stuff, like that's all me. And so it's like this weird conundrum of like what it is to me to be the man in the house and what it is to her to be the mom of the house, and for both of us to play our roles. I'm gonna try and put two and two together here. My Polaroid of my mom when I was growing up as me as a kid, now me as an adult looking at my partner being the mom to my kid and what those two things are. I do adhere to the things that I saw growing up that I loved about my mom, and I see girlfriend doing it, and it's a supercharged emotion. Okay, perfect time to bring up son and my emotions and what all of that is. The other night I was at work and one of our neighbors, their girlfriend, son were over there kind of hanging out, doing their thing. And I was like, cool, have fun. Like, I don't really think you should be there yet. Like, I wouldn't do that, but you've done this. Like, you know what to do. Like, I trust what that is. So go for it. Like, do what you think is best. And then a couple minutes later, I was like, I texted one of my buddies. I was watching him, and I was like, how you doing? Everything good? And he sent me a picture back of him laying on his chest. Like everything was fine. Like it was a completely okay situation. But in my head, I was like, okay, well, if something goes wrong and you're not there, then we're gonna blame them, and we're gonna hate them, and we're never gonna get over it. And so I'm going like as far as I can down that rabbit hole for like the worst case scenario,
Right.
when in reality, like she had it under control. And so we sat down and had an hour and a half talk about how it's my anxieties of going the worst case possible for son right now because of the last 3.5 weeks, and I'm still not over that traumatic experience, and I'm not over that moment yet. I'm still in that moment, and for you to go and kind of leave him for an hour, and she had to go and do some stuff, and I understand why that thought process was there, and I was like, yo, don't fucking do that. Like, be with our baby. Like, this is your role, right? Like, this is your role. You need to do this. You need to stay in that. You need to be with him 24/7. And I quickly realized that I was wrong, and not that she was right. When I found out that son was over at our neighbor's house without her, I didn't feel hurt in the sense of that is one of my most anxious moments. We got to a point in that hour and a half conversation where I was basically like, this has nothing to do with you or you being a mom or how you raise our child or any trust that I have for you. It is 100% to do with my anxieties of me not knowing what I'm doing. You're 100% playing your role as a mom. You're taking care of him. You're taking care of son. You're raising the kids. The house is clean. Like, food's on the table when I come home. Like, you are 100% doing your role. I'm barely making enough money to keep a roof over our head, and I'm always gone, and I'm working, and I'm 24/7, and I don't even get time here. And so I'm like 60% playing my role. Going back to why you screaming, I'm the man of the house, because I'm over saying it to make myself feel better.
Yeah. Wow. Really good insight.
True.
I love that you were able to talk to her about what you were feeling and saying this is anxiety. I feel embarrassed. I feel that that's what it's all about. When you try to project strength and you're not actually strong, that'll come back. When you can acknowledge for yourself first what you're feeling. Oh man, I'm anxious. I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm feeling less than because I'm not holding up my end. If you can mention that, if you can at least to yourself first, then some version of that with her, that's where you can really make use of the partnership. Don't have to do everything alone. Thinking you do can get you into trouble when you don't know how to do it or you aren't that good at it. Where you said 60%, I think it's probably closer to 88%. Because part of that is recognizing, oh, man, I'm not making enough money. Pause. I feel ashamed. I feel embarrassed. Okay, I can acknowledge that. And I have a partner. Like, what are our options? Let's talk about it together.
Yeah.
Not, I figured it all out.
Right.
That's something I think that's going to free you a lot more than you realize, because you're pretty good right now of having the insight to know what's going on for you, to know, oh, this is anxiety. Oh, this is this. Being able to express that in a way that doesn't make you feel like a kid asking for mommy. That's kind of why I poked at that earlier today. I am the man of the house and she's the woman of the house. And together we are the couple of the house. Being nervous about
son
not being with you or her. And being able to say, not, well, you've done this before, so you know better. Being able to say, wow, that makes me feel really nervous.
Yeah, and it's cool how you said that, because I and I could be wrong, but I feel like that's exactly how I went through that conversation, as far as I'm scared and these are my anxieties and I know it's going to be okay and I know I trust you. My mind tells me that everything's fine and I see that he's okay and I see that he's breathing. But my emotions, like my gut inside of me, it's telling me something's wrong. I'll check in like every hour, on the hour while I'm at work. Hey, everything okay? Is you okay? Is baby okay? Like, are you happy? Is this, that, the other? Just checking in like overly. And when I told her in that conversation the other night, I was like, hey, I'm checking in so much because you don't check in with me. And when I don't hear anything, it's usually the unknown, and that's what freaks me out. I just need like maybe once a day, for you just to text me, send me a picture as I'm walking through, the last 3.5, 4 weeks, and understanding my anxieties and how to vocalize what those are has really shown me that I have a great community and I have a great support system,
Wow.
and I've been able to reach out to certain people for certain things at certain times. And so as hard as it's all been, I've learned so much, and I feel so loved. I feel very loved right now.
Good. Yeah, I love that. I want to throw one little thing at you. My anxiety. It's not your anxiety. It's just anxiety. It's your relationship to these anxieties when they come up, right? Because when it's my anxiety, you need help for this thing that is yours, that you experience, right? When it's my relationship to this anxiety, and here,
girlfriend,
I have this anxiety. Oh yeah, I used to have that one too. Here's what I've done for it.
Yeah.
Right? When it's my anxiety, it's
true.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
True.
It's got to get over it.
Yeah.
When it's God, I have this anxiety of like, are you guys going to be okay? And I want to hear from you. I know I call every hour, maybe just getting a picture once a day, because man, right now my relationship to this anxiety isn't great. I mean, it's constant. It's how have you been okay with this? Well, I have a kid. So how does that settle the anxiety? Have you ever had that anxiety before? Oh, sure. And here's what happened. Here's what. Then it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
When it's
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. You get it. Yeah. Because it's okay that you haven't really developed your tools for this kind of anxiety, for these anxieties. She had
in this big hour-and-a-half conversation that we had the other night. I said something along the lines of, "This is your second baby. Right. This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm walking through this alone." Is how I said it.
Good.
And while I know I'm not alone, and I know I have support, and she's there for me, I got parents, I got community, I got everybody there for me. At the end of the day, like you say, you come into this world, you go out alone. Like I felt in this moment, I am walking through these anxieties alone because there isn't anybody else walking through it with me. And I've been able to play that, and I need to do a better job verbalizing of what we just said to her, as far as this is where I'm at. I know you might have been through something similar. You might have something right now that you're going through.
But I think giving yourself the grace to go, oh yeah, I don't know the best way to get through these anxieties right now. Have you had these anxieties before? What did you do? Okay, I'm going to try that.
I'm very blessed to have somebody that's okay with having me be in training, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really beautiful. I love what that is.
It's not just you've never been here and you don't know anything. Like, you've got a level of emotional maturity that, she's still playing catch up to that, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
That's why you guys complement each other well. That's why it's a partnership.
Yeah.
Okay, this episode is brought to you by.
Wait. Let's come back. Are we ready? Okay.
As I sip my tea. Hi. What?
We're back.
Oh, we're back. I was like, wait, do we have something we're supposed to say together in unison?
Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello. Why would you do that to me? That's so mean. I shouldn't have fell for that. Okay, but I was going to make a joke. Like, this episode brought to you by Oxytocin. Because he's so in he even calls it the post-baby honeymoon phase.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know. That stuck out to me. And maybe that's because I have like slight baby fever in the moment right now. But like listening to this was very touching because, I mean, look how far we've come. He's so in touch with his feelings. Still working on vulnerability and expressing those feelings, which is really what this is all about.
Which is, I thought, great overall. Like when I look back at this overall, not like picking apart each thing, which is what you're about to do. But when I just look at the whole, I think, wow, he was doing pretty well with expressing his emotions and talking about embarrassment and anxious and honeymoon and excitement. And
that was my takeaway from this episode. I mean, there were definitely moments, and we will get to them like I was referring to earlier, where he's a bit in his defense mode a little bit, right? But like you fully challenged him on it, and he eventually kind of admitted the error of his ways or just what he really was feeling.
Well, and again, I think I said this when we were talking about Sarah the other day. This is therapy. This is where you're supposed to muddle through things like this. And if he says something and I challenge it, it's not for me to correct him. It's to help course correct himself.
So you reflect it back to him in a way that he can hear it differently and say, oh, yeah, you're right. That doesn't really sound like what I meant.
Totally. And that's why several times I will take on their voice and I will say the thing and then I will pause, or I will even say like, how does that sound when I say it back to you? And they'll go, yeah, now that I hear it, this.
That just happened to me today with a client. They were like, oh yeah, as you say it like that, it's not sounding the way that I thought it sounded. And I'm like, yep. That's what you said.
That's why I say sometimes that therapy is like me and you, not you and me, but
yes.
The client and the
not
therapist,
your client. Thank God.
In the client's head, just figuring things out.
You're getting in there with them and picking at it a little bit, dissecting it, and then like putting it on display for them so they can really look at it.
And thank God that's not you, because if you came in here and shared like a dream of yours with me, then I would have to like dissect that.
God forbid.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. What do you got?
Don't put pressure on me like that. Gosh. Can we just go straight to the challenge mode?
Sure.
And look, I often get this wrong that this is the climax, but that's not true. This is the midpoint, as my ex would inform me. Like, this is not the big moment at the end, but this is like a heightened point in the middle.
I think of it in terms, like from acting, I think of beats, right? The different beats.
Yes, okay, for sure.
Right? So that was definitely a beat. It might not be like, oh, this is the big conflict moment, or this is the big resolution
exactly,
moment.
Exactly.
It's certainly a beat.
It's a big old beat.
Right? It's a big old beat.
The bass drops right here. You said, can I go into challenge mode? Like, I know you like this when I do this. Like, you got his permission first.
Yep.
But the way he said it really hit me, because as he was talking, I was like, oh my God. Not fully judgy, rolling my eyes, because, you know, we know Drew at this point. I give him the benefit of the doubt for sure. And especially when I'm in therapist mode, I'm certainly not just straight up judging people and making assumptions here. But I was listening to him just going like, oh boy, Doug, please say something. Please say something about this. And you literally do. Wow, Drew, you're really vocal about being the man of the house. What's up with that? You like just straight up say it. And I feel like you went into that with what we were just saying, right? Like trying to reflect back so that he could be like, oh yeah, you're right. That sounds kind of icky. But he actually dug his heels in even more and defended himself and said, yeah, I just feel like I'm really embodying that or whatever. He actually fully leaned into it more.
So he made a connection with finances, talking about finances and just giving everything up to mom. I mean, there was already like something
There's fertile ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me be devil's advocate here and kind of push this and see what happens here and see where he goes. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to correct him like, wow, that's backwards 50s style thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that.
Okay.
It was more, this doesn't sound like we know Drew to be.
Yes.
So what's going on? Where's this coming from?
Where is this coming from? Right? What's the function of this?
Right?
Yeah.
For me, I know the dynamic with his parents and with him and his parents, right? So the parents, the mom and the dad.
Yes.
And then him seeing that in him to them.
Right.
And him as a new dad. And granted, he's probably a little sleep deprived still. Right?
Totally. I wonder if there was a point where you did just name the fact that things are a little in flux right now, right? You still got baby brain. And I mean, he does say like the honeymoon phase, I'm scared for it to end, but I also want to soak it up and acknowledge the good and the bad and all of that. Like there's a balance theme here too.
Yeah, I love that he likened the honeymoon phase of having a baby with your partner to when we first started as a partnership, because there is something about, you know, we want to spend every moment together and we're in this like limerent phase where we're both feeling this and wrapped up in this. And we're probably talking to each other late on the phone or going out and staying up and sleep deprived and not focused on everything. And that's kind of like baby brain.
It's very all consuming.
Yeah.
I imagine. We're getting away from the challenge thing. I'm not done with that because I did think it was interesting because importantly, he comes back to it and eventually gets to the place we're talking about where he admits that he was saying that to make himself feel better, right? It was this like more outward projection of confidence and strength and like, yes, for sure, I am fulfilling the role that I expect myself to fulfill, or that society does, or that my dad kind of modeled for me.
Exactly.
So I wasn't expecting that, and I was appreciative, I suppose. And maybe that's my bias coming out. Like you said, that seems like such an old school way of thinking, right? Like those gender norms and roles. But you're right. It's more so about why is he saying it, right? Like, especially to you in therapy, why does he feel the need to express that he's got this, right?
Let me ask you something along those lines, because it's sort of like what brings him back.
Yeah.
I wish I could get into my own brain in this session, because I don't know how intentional this is. But I used a certain word, and I don't want to say it was like the neuro-linguistic programming, because I wasn't doing that per se. But I dropped a word a couple of times that he picked up on.
Oh,
and
gosh.
It was, do you remember this?
Wait, I'll remember when you say it.
Sure. It was intimacy.
Oh, yeah. He literally said like, yeah, and you know, you said intimacy a couple times and that really hit me.
Right.
Yeah. Because what he's really talking about is that vulnerability that leads to intimacy and how it's real intimacy.
The shift was we were talking about what it was like with the roles in the house and this and that, and hitting that idea of intimacy, because that to me was, okay, now can we make it about the emotional content? Can you go there? And where are you guys? Not just the honeymoon space, but where are you guys in relation to each other and yourselves? Yeah.
And I was thinking about that. Maybe that's a good segue, because I was like, where's the balance? Because a lot of this session too feels like that balance between that limerence stage of like absolute joy and bliss and that honeymoon feeling, the oxytocin feeling, while also him having immense anxiety and embarrassment, right? Embarrassment came up a few times. I don't love the feeling of embarrassment, but I love the acknowledgement of it, like especially as an adult, to talk about feeling embarrassed, not even anxious, not even shame or ashamed or shameful. It's straight up embarrassment. It feels immature or childish, and it's ironic because it's about his parenting.
Right.
And I just kind of love that for him, that he's admitting that, and that's the feeling that he has to express to his partner. He is embarrassed that he's not done this before. This is new for him.
And I think part of why that comes out so much is it's in contrast to, and she has.
Yeah, exactly. He feels like inferior.
Right. And he feels a disconnect in the partnership.
Yeah.
Right. Again, talking about the intimacy is naming that, not like, oh, I'm embarrassed because you've been through this and I haven't. It's, oh, if I can name that, now we can build our intimacy, rather than you're up here and I'm down here because you've experienced it and you know this and I don't, and I'm less than.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where I feel this anxiety and this like not good enough.
And I have to over project this strength of a man in my role, because at least I'm providing something financially. And then of course that's where all his stress in the financial world comes in, because he's like, that's all I can offer.
And you just kind of said it. What he was coming with in the last couple of sessions was, I'm not doing enough. She carried the child. She's feeding the child. What am I doing?
What's my role here?
So he's doubling down on, I've got to be the provider.
When really, I think you said this in the previous session. It's been a little while, so I don't know. But that his role is to be like supportive partner, and just to be a partner in this, and be a dad, of course, and do what he can.
Well, look at his frame of reference.
Totally. Something about him expressing embarrassment and shame. There's like a double benefit to that, I feel, because for him, obviously, there's the individual benefit of just him expressing that, because shame, you know, it gets cut in half, as they say, right? When you share it with somebody else and just being vulnerable, and it connects you to somebody, in this case, his partner. It's just like this very nice feedback loop, which I think a lot of people / clients are skeptical about. It's really hard to, you know, we're not trying to convince people to share or to be vulnerable, but eventually, if we're talking about intimacy and connection and attachment and stuff, like that's a huge piece of it. And people get very skeptical or scared of that intimacy.
Yeah. I mean, you just used like 26 keywords there, which are like amazing.
Sorry.
But that's, no.
Smorgasbord.
Right. But
Pick
that's
one.
right. But that's awesome. I think it was the last session with him where he was talking about vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then he was actually experiencing it. Like, see, being raw like this, that's what vulnerability is. You can't just say, I'm all about vulnerability. It's what you're feeling. It's feeling embarrassed and sharing that embarrassment. It's building the intimacy. It's doing these things with a partner and exposing yourself in a way that felt like, previously, I'm not protected. I might get hurt, but I really want to do this. So, and it's scary. You know, all those things, which I loved that he was able to do this, and, you know, having these, as he would say, difficult or hard conversations. Like it's, it's where those 26 keywords you mentioned, it's where they all lie.
Yeah, it's the bread and butter, I think, of attachment and connection and intimacy. And the thing I see people struggling with arguably the most, I mean, there's certainly other things, but you said something earlier in the session about, it sounds like this is going to be, multiple conversations that you're going to have with your partner. Like these are absolutely things that you're going to talk about with her. And I think a big fear for people, or just something people don't even think about, is talking to their partner and asking questions. And it seems so simple, right? But it's often the thing that is the scariest to do, is just to simply talk and have the conversation and ask questions. And I think curiosity is another big topic that comes up in this one, right?
What was it like for you?
Yeah.
What was this?
Yeah. Just ask questions. You said something, this beautiful quote, I don't know, right? About, me? I know, right? You said something so profound. What's that about? Talk about being gendered in old stereotypes or something, but it was about being like the wise man has the strength to ask questions, or the courage or something like that, which we know that doesn't mean just men, but obviously.
Right. But using his verbiage because he was talking about, I'm the man of the house and this is what it is. And it was.
That's it. Yep. We're all over the place, but I think you're feeling me. It almost reminded me of the serenity prayer in a way, having the strength to know the difference, right? Like where you have control, where you don't have control, where you can ask questions. Yeah, admitting when you don't know something.
It's the courage to ask the questions and the wisdom to listen to the answers.
That's it. I think just the cadence of that reminds me of the serenity prayer.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of borrowing from that poetic license. And you're absolutely right. It is kind of opening up in this way for him. And it's that sense of curiosity and that learning. Yeah. And it's being vulnerable in conversation like that with your partner, not as a gotcha type thing. Like a lot of partnerships, admitting that you don't know something is a gotcha, and they use it against you later.
Oh, like if his partner used it against him later.
Right. And that might be what he's trying to work against, is when it's come back and bit him. So he needs to project that I know everything, that I know how to do this. And it started with him saying, I don't know finances. Like I suck at finances.
I know. Yeah. It's interesting that he started with that.
You can keep saying I suck at finances and that's your story. Or you can say, hey, can you show me finances and teach me some of this? He's had a relationship with mom, and we know how his mom has been unreliable for the most part and unpredictable. And yet she does his taxes. Right. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I just hand it to her. Like there might be a sense that while he hands it over to her and doesn't really pay attention to it, that dad takes care of everything. So now he's like, wait, so how do I do this? And this is where I was really trying to go, well, can you just be the guy that has a conversation with your partner?
Right. But that's not the manly thing to do.
No.
That's not what was modeled to him.
Not for him.
We're breaking down that probably unconscious core belief, Right. I mean, that's what gender roles and gender norms are, right? Does this lead to your pretty mega interpretation? Well, I know he brings up mommy first, right? And, all that stuff. But you do make an interpretation that like this is his partner perhaps mommying him again, and that's what feels comfortable, et cetera, and familiar for him. But what was interesting to me mainly was that he only agreed with you like 25% or something, right?
Yep.
What did you make of that?
I love that. I mean, it's not me making an interpretation. It's me positing something like, hey, what do you think of this? And letting him think about that and making that idea concrete so he can now look at it and think about it. Yeah. So I wasn't actually saying, oh, she is representing your mother. And
you weren't saying it like
you're just
objectively.
Replaying that dynamic of that relationship.
You probably worded it something along the lines of like, let me know what you think of this or something, right?
Yeah, I think that's when I did the first challenging thing. I was like, all right, hang on. Let me challenge you for a minute here.
Yeah.
I even said something like your mommy partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what that would trigger in him. And I love that he's like, yeah, I think that's 25% true. And
I think he said 25 to 40% true. It's like, okay, that is quite
he's
specific.
Like, I think that's 25 to 40% true. And I think like the other 60% is this.
Yeah.
And he's done this before, and then he'll go, and 15% this, and maybe like 5% this.
So we're at 300% now. Excellent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's okay, Drew. I'm not good at math either.
Right. But this was looking at, for him, where is your comfort level and how are you interacting and what is coming up? And it's not just a duality, it's a plurality.
Plural. Oh, God. Wow, that is peanut butter in the mouth for a word. Plurality.
See, I think it's just jam. It's peanut butter and jam
Plurality.
right there. Plurality.
Oh my gosh,
plurality.
That really hurt my brain for a second.
Okay.
My brain is sensitive today, though. So plurality. Okay, so it's not duality; it's plurality.
Well, because it's not just these two concepts; it's multiple concepts. And part of what we do with Drew is he likes to spew. He likes to put it all out there. He's got baby brain. Like, great, put it all out there, and let me throw it back at you. And what makes sense and how's it sound? And let me take this and put it right in your face, and let me take this and kind of put a pin in it.
It is really nice to hear clients adopt the language. This happened today for me too. A client was like, I used the word interdependence in a conversation with my partner, and like I realized I didn't really know what that meant until like we started talking about it. And I was like, cool, awesome. It's part of your vocabulary now. Like that's part of therapy is also just learning things. But he takes a lot of what you guys talk about and uses it.
I loved it. He was like, I'm going to put a pin in that. And then he says this and he goes, okay, now going back to that pin. Like that was.
He really did do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so lovely. I love that. Right? Okay. Another favorite thing that happened in this / I'm interested in was.
What's your 14th favorite thing?
Okay. I knew you were going to make a comment about that. These are a few of my favorite things. And I just have a whole list. This is not me praising you. Okay. Well, actually, it is.
Hope not. Yeah.
No, this is actually me praising you.
Oh, I'm going to pretend to be uncomfortable. Really? Oh.
Are you making fun of me? Oh my gosh.
I'm making fun of me that I have no problem with this. Oh, why? You have a problem with being praised?
Because you have NPD. Wait, I have a problem with being praised?
You don't?
No, I love being praised.
Oh. Because I think you're doing fantastic right now.
No.
Like dealing with like not feeling human. You have ginger tea in the blanket, and yet...
Don't tell them.
And the sound of your voice, like it's very well rounded, sounds very warm and inviting. You're doing fantastic. Really. I'm not just.
Doug, is it bad that sounds so fake when you say it?
No, because I am saying that in kind of a fake way to get a rise out of you.
Okay. So yeah, he doesn't praise me, you guys. That just sounded so weird because he doesn't praise me. That's really what it is.
Do I not tell you do a good job?
I'm kidding. This is not about me. Okay. Speaking of this, so enough about me and my life.
Yeah, go ahead. You were about to praise me.
This is kind of connected because he is saying my anxiety a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm guilty of that too. I think a lot of us identify with our anxiety and say my anxiety, oh, my this, my that, my depression, my stress, whatever.
Right.
And you make it a point to say, and I think this is towards the end of the session, it's not your anxiety, it's your relationship to your anxiety.
Right.
And let me tell you, Doug, that is so very acceptance and commitment therapy. And I just ate it up. I love it. Well, it's ACT, but it's also so many other probably types of therapy. I mean, there's narrative, right? Like there's different ways of probably explaining that. But can you talk more about it? Because I like the whole like separating yourself.
And I've said it many times on the podcast.
In different ways.
But I've said it very directly to Drew. It's probably an early episode that you didn't hear.
Yeah, maybe not because I don't remember.
Listeners, if you've been around with us, you know this. I say this. This is one of my things. Actually, no, it's just a thing.
It's just a thing.
Right.
This thing that you do.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is. When clients, not all clients, and there's no real problem linguistically or psychologically with saying, yeah, my anxiety was acting up or my depression was doing this.
But sometimes you can tell.
For a lot of clients and a lot of people, they use it as this is my story, this is my narrative, this is a core belief that I am this. Well, wait, this is just happening. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is just a feeling that we can have and can experience, right?
Yeah.
But if we can't have it and then we possess it and we hold on to it, then it's going to be with us everywhere.
All the time.
All the time.
It's such an interesting thing for me because, I do experience anxiety quite often. And so do most of my clients, and so do most people. And lately it's been a very just conversation of like, look, anxiety is kind of just an existential given. Like the human condition is, we're anxious beings to varying degrees, and we're looking for ways to cope with that. you could kind of conceptualize humanity as just, that's what it's about, right? Like we are just avoiding or managing anxiety about different things.
I'm going to, I don't know, therapy 101, or maybe it's 201 or,
Hit
or
me.
107.
Hit us, Doug.
Well, it's saying, you've probably heard this, the metaphor of anxiety is the unwelcome guest, right?
Yeah.
So anxiety just comes in
Yeah.
and sits down and makes themselves comfortable in your head, right?
Right.
So can you recognize anxiety as not my anxiety? Because then it lives there.
Right.
If you go, wait, anxiety is an unwelcome guest. I didn't invite them in. And now they're coming in and kicking off their shoes and hanging out on my couch with a cup of tea. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're not welcome here. Right? Or you can say, hey, why don't you go hang out in the bathroom? I'm going to be over here in the living room. Right? You can have some mastery and some sense of control over how you manage that unwelcome guest in your own house. But if you call it my anxiety, now it belongs there. It's a part of you.
It's a part of you. Right. Yeah. It's the identification piece that I think is interesting, because you say my anxiety or I'm anxious, right? It's like, hi, I'm anxious. Hi, anxious. Nice to meet you, right? Like, it's like, oh, like you're just anxious. That's all you are. You're defined by your anxiety, right? It's a linguist thing, as you would say, right? It is a language thing, which is the narrative part, but it's also act in the sense of like you're diffusing a bit from the thoughts and feelings of anxiety by like externalizing it a bit.
And on the idea of externalizing it, if you think of that brilliant movie we both just watched a little while ago,
Inside Out.
Inside Out
2,
right?
Yes, I've been thinking about it this whole time.
Right. So anxiety comes in, that's the new character and takes over and this, that, like, okay, but there's something wonderful and detrimental. We think of that as Riley.
Yes.
Riley is anxiety and this and that, and they live there. I don't think that's true.
But that's kind of the point, right? To personify them is to give them like separate entity, you know, like.
And here's what I'm saying, like, oh yeah, it's great and it's not, because it is personifying them and making them somewhat objective. And so you can see it and you can look at it and point to it as this other thing here. Yet they all take place and live inside of her all the time. So they are also her.
Yeah, they're not coming in and out. They're all there all the time.
Right.
Well, but is that such a bad thing too, right? Because I've also heard the flip side of what you're talking about of like, you're an unwelcome guest. I didn't invite you in here. I've heard the flip side of, hey, feel your feelings, invite the anxiety in for tea and talk to it and like see what's up.
That you can do because you have control. In that example, you have control over when they come in, how long they stay, how comfortable they are. That is welcoming the guest in and going, hey, come on in. I'm in therapy now, so we're going to talk about it. Or it's okay for me to freak out for 15 minutes today. So I'm going to invite all of them in.
Yeah, a little worry time.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you're kind of supporting the idea that when you acknowledge them as these things that exist that aren't you, that just come by and visit, whether you invite them in and entertain them or go, wow, this is intrusive. What is this doing here? This shouldn't be here. Go away. Don't stay here.
Is it that easy though, Doug? Because
why do you think we have a job?
I know. I'm hearing myself and all of my clients saying it's not that easy to just have an intrusive thought and say, go away. You weren't invited.
No, not at all.
God, I mean, CBT, that's, if CBT
it's an
really.
intrusive thought.
For a reason.
Yeah. Yep.
So what do you really do then? You talk about it, you feel it, you express it to people, you cope.
You can, if you recognize it as an intrusive thought, not as this is me.
Right. So right now we're talking about that step in between where you just like notice it and do not let it define you in that moment. It's just something you're experiencing.
Right. I talk about airplane anxiety, flight anxiety a lot. Right?
Oh, yeah?
So people that are...
I don't know, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
People that are trying to overcome flight anxiety. They're trying to make themselves not nervous.
Yeah, not going to happen.
No.
Just be nervous.
Right. That's where you kind of go, it's not my flight anxiety. It's, I'm experiencing flight anxiety. Let me acknowledge it. Yeah. And that's a pretty common, logical thing to feel at this moment.
Yeah. Well, and that's the act part of it too, the emotional exposure, right? Like exposing yourself to emotions is often the thing that actually needs to be done because we're so scared of the physical and mental, cognitive sensations and thoughts that accompany anxiety. Like what it means to feel that is very scary. And so it often like creates that negative feedback loop.
Right. And I don't know from ACT, but I know that when you feel that, if you can accept that you're feeling that and commit
Well, oh my God, Doug. Stop. I was just about to say, wait, he's literally saying it right now. Yep. Yep.
All right, what else was I saying? Let's
I don't know. That was actually pretty much all I had.
Oh.
The end.
Right. Well, overall, there's an overall, and there's one more thing that I'll hit as I pinned this, not to him, but I just pinned something. Oh, let's see if it's the same thing.
I know. I wonder if it is. It's probably not.
The overall was just how I thought he was able to express himself in this session.
Yeah.
Even with the baby brain and hearing these things back and how he was acknowledging his emotions, even though he got triggered in places. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's what it's all about.
Totally.
Feeling it and expressing it and owning it.
Especially when he talked about how his girlfriend went over to the neighbor's house with the baby.
Oh, yes.
Right.
That
and
made
then
him
got triggered.
anxious,
like, what's going on? And there was a picture of the baby, I think,
Yeah.
on the neighbor.
Is this what was leading him to say, this is your role? And like he got upset and then realized he was in the wrong or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he was triggered. And he was like, oh, right. I can express what I'm feeling and be triggered and move through it and work through that.
Right.
Okay. That's all okay.
And that anger came out because he was actually just scared.
Yeah.
It's like a dog, right? It's such an easy metaphor, but like dogs, when they get scared, their hackles go up and they bark and they seem angry.
Right.
But they're really just scared.
Yep. So here's my thing.
Okay.
Right.
Hit me.
When he talked about something, I logged it as, wow, this was really traumatic for him. He's got a little bit of the trauma response going on.
Oh, well, when the baby was sick in the hospital.
Yep,
Absolutely.
Exactly. He mentioned that.
I didn't think about it as far as like trauma because it literally just happened. But yeah, absolutely. It is trauma. Yeah, that's the definition of trauma. Like something that really sticks with you and has lasting effects and causes anxiety.
Yeah. And it's something we talked about previously. And I gave him the verbiage of, oh, that was a traumatic event.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And wow, that's pretty traumatic. Like that's wow.
Yeah.
So in this session, he said something about like, you know, it's been like 3.5 weeks and I'm still not over that traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so he's logging it as that. This wasn't our place to talk about it and to name it as that. But I'll be interested next week to see like.
Yeah, if you go back into that.
Did I go back into that? Do I pick it up? Do we go there at some point? I mean, he's still got baby brain. He's still like fresh off of this. So.
Yeah, he's still kind of in shock too, probably from it. I mean, it was so recent.
Right.
Well, we'll see.
We shall.
Let's see.
Yeah, we can see and you guys can see, especially if you come back to join us next week.
He's looking at the plant, everyone.
What does
Wait,
that
now
mean,
you're
Kenzie?
looking at me.
What does it mean if I look at the plant?
That we are now forcing you to subscribe and like and holding you hostage until you do.
That's right.
That's what that means.
That's right.
So, Doug.
Yes, ma'am.
So, are you going to like, comment, subscribe? What is it all? Follow us. Two?
No, peace.
Peace.
I'm out.
Oh, bye. Wait, you're just saying bye?
Well, no.
Did you already do the spiel?
I did it at the beginning.
Oh, okay. We'll do it again, everyone. Yay, like us again. Review us. Comment. I don't know. I want more listeners' questions.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
Oh, I've totally forgot about that. Yeah.
I know. Let's add that to your long list of things to do.
And here's a question for listeners, especially if you've stuck around till the end of this episode when you're like, oh, it's over. Done. Skip. Do people listen to like the last 30 seconds of something?
Probably
We're finding
not.
out right now, right?
Unless they have to.
Oh, you don't know this.
What?
But on CDs, compact discs,
I
that's
know
how we
what
used to get music.
Oh my God.
The very
Doug.
last track of an album.
Doug.
Sometimes there'd be like literal blank space, not Taylor Swift blank space.
You know I'm a 90s
space.
girl, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then there'd be like a hidden track.
Oh, wait, I don't know
this?
if I knew this actually.
See? It's
Okay.
like if there's 10 songs on an album, sometimes that 10th song will be like 12 minutes long because it's 3 minutes and then like 5 minutes of blank space.
Wait,
and
was
then
it?
There's another song.
Was it on the little pamphlet? Like that has the numbered song titles?
Sometimes it won't be there at all. Sometimes it will.
Okay, that's tricky, sneaky.
Yep.
Okay, so if you've made it this far, leave a comment somewhere that you've made it this far. Actually, say, hey, Kenzie, I've had a very brat summer, if you've made it this far. No one, not a single person.
My point was, if you've made it this far, you're a diehard listener. And
we love you.
That too. And we'd love to know if you liked when we did that concurrent breakdown of the flashbacks.
Oh, yeah. That's
right?
a better thing to
Because we were
comment.
thinking about, do we want to do that for these newer ones or just keep the format the way it is? So
right. That's a good question.
let us know your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, if you've got them, let's hear them.
Yeah.
We're therapists.
Until
we like
then.
that. See you next time, or have a great time. Huh?
Have a GR8. Have a BRAT summer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're out.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.